In this week's episode, we talk about the sun moving into Leo, where it is sunny and bright. Your vitality and life source are once again refueled. The next day, the full moon at 1 degree of Aquarius, where we need to balance our personal gratification and satisfaction with others, with them, in social consciousness. To hear more of this week's transits, tune in to the episode of Astrological Intentions.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Astrological Intentions. I'm your host, Alex Reevy, along with the Booth Bay babe herself. say hi, Sandy Reevy.
I like it, and that's where I'm headed.
And this is episode 156, July 19th. Let's get right into it. Tuesday, July 20th, Mercury sextile Uranus.
Living like the Jetsons.
Wednesday, July 21st, Venus ingress Virgo.
Into her fall.
Thursday, July 22nd, Venus opposing Jupiter.
Look at the reflection. Is that reflected or flawed?
And Sun ingress Leo.
Sunny and bright.
Friday, July 23rd, full moon in Aquarius.
Balance me with them.
Saturday, July 24th, Mercury trine Neptune.
Tell your story now.
And Sunday, July 25th, Mercury opposing Pluto.
No cringing.
And in Talisman times, we have some talismans very, very special, and they're only $30. You will not want to miss this one. On the horizon, we have our July forecast still available for view for free, as well as our August astrology forecast coming up July 31st. Then in our house, Sandy and I are going to discuss what went wrong during the 7-day challenge and then what went right. So stay tuned for this. And so stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
And the search ends here, where the night is totally clear, and your heart is fierce. And so you finally know you control where you go.
Hello, Booth Bay babe.
That was quick, and that was exactly right on, because as soon as we're done here, off I go to Booth Bay Harbor, Maine, and the country club there to visit Andrew.
Your son.
My son.
My brother. Yes. It's such a beautiful area, and Maine is definitely a secret beautiful location of the U.S. that I don't think a lot of people realize.
And I think maybe the people up there, I don't know, I don't really live there.
They want to keep it a secret.
They want to keep it like that. It's kind of like how I talk about Evanston, where we live, Evanston, Illinois, is I've always called it the armpit which
doesn't sound good. I mean, you don't want to put that on like a visit Evanston, the armpit of Chicago. Like, it sounds stinky and gross.
Right, I know. But I guess it might be because it's so natural, because we've got such beautiful history here in some of these beautiful stone brick buildings from back during the, the architect here, David Burnham, built his house here. All these Oscar Mayer's houses here, like so many big people's houses back in the late 1800s, right next to the water. And it's this small little area that's hard to get to, and it's hard to get from.
So that's why you call it the armpit.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people that don't know. I once did a check. I wanted to go to every single church here in Evanston. And when I counted up to 64 in this small little, town of, I'm guessing, maybe 8,000 to 10,000 people. I'll have to check.
I would guess way more.
I have to double check that. We don't have our producer here to fact check.
So you are gravely incorrect.
Oh, what are we?
72,000.
72,000.
Yes.
Okay. I live in a really small portion of Evanston.
It's the 15th largest city in Illinois.
Okay. But I feel like nobody comes and goes from here. And actually just recently it was called the new downtown Chicago.
Evanston
there's
is
music, there's
beautiful.
breweries, there's There's distilleries. There is not one fast food. They won't allow fast food in this town. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
There's a Burger
No,
King
it's
right by.
closed. No, it's done.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They were grandfathered in, and then they were grandfathered out.
Oh,
Yeah.
bye-bye, Burger
Yeah,
King.
gone.
And I want to say thank you, all of you listeners. I'll never stop saying thank you
Mhm.
because we are very grateful. And I want to go direct to you all and share with you a message from C. Saras from Ontario, Canada.
Mm.
And I'm probably not saying that last name right, but she says after reading, I feel understood. Throughout my life, I have felt like an outsider. Not that I'm odd, just that I think differently than many others. Now I can trust that thinking outside of the box is the way that I'm meant to think. So I think that was just
Nice.
confirmation and also validation of stay weird, even though like there is that differentiation between you and like what is normal. Yes, honor it, own it, be it.
It's actually easier to do now, I think, with Uranus and Taurus, specifically the last 3.5 years, that we're busting through anything that anybody has considered status quo. It's like we want to be revolutionized and differentiated. So I think it's really important. Awesome. Thank you for that. I know who you are.
So let's move into transits. We have a big week ahead. So let's get into it. Pay attention. Remember, your cheat sheets are your best friends. So if you don't have your cheat sheet yet, head over to our website. Also, the link is in the description as well. So let's start with Tuesday, July 20th, Mercury sextile Uranus.
Yeah, and this is Living Like the Jetsons, I titled it. Mercury here in this early part of Cancer, it has a little bit of dignity in the bounds and the decans, so it knows how to get things done, and it is welcomed by all. So this exciting kind of breakthrough of meeting up in a really nice take the opportunity of Uranus makes this inventive information. How can you spin your childhood memories into a realistic happening? Kind of like the Jetsons. We just did a webinar, maybe it could have been last year. I don't know. It seems like not too long ago, where we did a little segment of the Jetsons.
Yeah, it was fun.
And they literally were doing things that we are doing right now. They were doing exercises for the fingers, for the pointer fingers, because we were pushing so many buttons.
Right.
And it was like back then when I was a child watching the Jetsons, I did that. I wasn't a cartoonist watcher, but that is one I did watch because it was so far out. And here we are, like, really, how far out is that? We know that people are going to outer space just this week.
Right.
And they weren't, this is not an astronaut.
No, this is also a millionaire, though, or billionaire.
So billionaires, take your mark.
Right.
Make it more available for us, ones that want to see I would love to see what the world or, us,
Wouldn't that
Earth
be
looks
cool?
like in that cylindrical.
I will say skydiving was the closest that I've gotten to that point. But when they like opened up the door to from the airplane, you could see a little curve on the horizon. And it was just so cool because we don't see that normally. And just to have that elevation and have that perspective is so, to be literally on the brink of outer space would be insane.
And so it's kind of like how we can spin these childhood memories, what you can remember from what you watched that was, insane, like the talking horse. Do you remember Mr. No, you wouldn't. You're not my age.
Mr. Ed.
Mr. Ed. But they're just recently finding ways to implant
talking devices where if someone even has like a speech difficulty with their speech, they can have this implanted and it can speak for them.
through the computer.
That's so crazy.
It's already been tested. We read about it today on Skimmed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of thing of being able to talk when, through the technology. So this is just a very inventive time. So do something in your own home or in your own work environment, in your own life that has this spinning into a realistic happening.
And next we have Wednesday, July 21st, Venus ingress Virgo.
So this happens at 7:37 p.m. And, Venus goes into her fall. She's in her exaltation in the opposite sign of Virgo, which is Pisces. So when she gets to that opposite placement, which she'll get here for about 3 weeks, and she'll be here, every year, she goes into her fall. So it's not so good for the lovey-dovey moments that Venus really wants to, enjoy and find amusement and recreation and social timing. So, you don't have to, like what you imagine. In fact, maybe now is when you can be in the correction phase of all the things you don't love, right? It's the remedies of taking a really stark look at,
And
what?
being
That
critical.
couch is kind of old. It's got stains on it. Maybe I either flip the cushions, get it cleaned, or is it time for a new couch?
Or
you're
even
going to see,
reupholstered.
you're going to maybe see the little flaws and things that you can. This is actually it's a good time.
Right. It's a good time to have a critical eye about.
Critical eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's
And
totally Virgo.
And it's Venus seeing, what, this is something that I don't love anymore. Let's sell it. Let's turn it into some money. Or if it's an item or it's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we need to sit down and have some rules here.
Yeah. Critical thinking.
Let's sit across from the table and have a powwow.
Right.
Because neither one of us are going to be wrong, and neither one of us are going to be right.
Right.
Let's be realistic.
And I also think, this is also a good time. It's a great time for a critical eye, also with some constructive criticism too. So it's kind of being that nitpicky one, but it can be helpful.
Oh, it certainly can be the time when you can make corrections. It's a correction phase. I don't mind it. We have to have those.
Right.
Yeah.
So Thursday, July 22nd, Venus opposing Jupiter.
So think about this. These are the two benefics. Venus, we just talked about, is in her fall, and opposing Jupiter, that is in his own sign of Pisces, which I just said Venus is exalted in. So this happens at 7:45 in the morning, and it's just kind of looking at the reflection. Is there some sort of, it's an opposition, so is there some sort of mirrored image here? Are you looking at what's reflected or what is flawed? So it feels like Jupiter is throwing a lifeline to his friend Venus, or this magical hope rope, to attain what was once real, but maybe has been lost. So ask for what you need, versus just trying to survive. Being in the lack of I don't deserve. Being in lack, being in that survivor victimhood. Ask for what you need. There's other people saying, hey, I need this and you have that. I'll take that from you and you take this. And this is just really a good barter exchange system. So we start on Wednesday with this, into her fall to make these corrections. Jupiter shows up to look at the reflection of, what? I like that about you.
It's,
like we were just saying, you were getting that sense of, the critical thinking, but also the correction of it. What? There's a little flaw over here. I need to get a little makeup here or go to the dermatologist and have this removed, that kind of thing. Right.
But I also think even when you're discussing this Venus opposing Jupiter transit, this is also what I feel could be a great opportunity for some mirror work where, and in this time where it's highly critical, I preface, don't go in there picking and prodding, all those different spaces and what's going on. But to use that Jupiter and take a step back and look and just smile into the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and just say like, hey, I own all of this. This is all me.
Right. I mean, it can be a very supportive time because, again, Jupiter is looking at Venus going, here's a hope rope, like a lifeline. Here,
Yes.
I see you. I'm throwing this lifesaver to you.
Right.
So Venus is like, thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend.
And that goes back to even our going direct, where C said, I feel understood. Throughout my life, I felt like an outsider. Not that I'm odd, just that I think differently. So, own that. Be that different, because no one else has your face. No one else has those little details. So let's move into the next transit of that same day,
Yeah.
July 22nd, Sun ingress Leo. Happy birthday, Leos.
Happy birthday, sunny and bright. This is really, the sun rules Leo. This happens at 9:26 a.m. Of course, these are all Chicago Central times. Vitality and life source are once again refueled. I just really like this. Happy birthday to
That's
Leos.
a great affirmation intention. Yeah.
Yeah. And, very confident, very, very strong, very loyal, maybe a little dramatic. Okay.
Maybe. And so just as like a teaching mention here, because I have a Leo moon.
I have a Leo rising.
And you have a Leo rising. So there are different aspects of your chart. If you don't know, you're way more than just your zodiac sign or your sun sign.
Mhm.
So I'm taking this moment just to expand and elevate your minds if you're new to astrology, because you have Leo somewhere in your chart.
Mhm.
Everyone does. So yeah, interesting to take a look. And where are our sunny and bright sides? Where is our dramatic side? And mine's my moon, emotions, and yours is front and center,
Mine,
ascendant.
I wear it on my face, my hair. You see what I've got going on in my
You
hair
have a
today.
feather in your hair.
I got a big long feather in my hair, and you want to talk about the wiglet that I've got on that nobody will know.
Nobody will know. How would they know?
I bought it for the wedding, and I thought, you know what? I'm going away.
It's cute. It looks
So,
great.
Anyway, so be that big portion of yourself. Doesn't
Mhm.
mean to get bigger. It just means to create that expressive nature of yourself, that regal nature, that it's a fixed sign. So, be sturdy and steady in how you shine your light, even
Right.
if it is not out, your light is within you.
Mm.
Yes.
And Friday, July 23rd, we have the full moon in Aquarius. Let's hear about this.
Yeah, let's talk about this. It's at 1 degree of Aquarius, which means the sun is at 1 degree of Leo, right? Because it just got in there the day before. And then the moon making its opposition, because it's a full moon, opposition at 1 degree of Aquarius. This happens at 9:37 p.m. Central.
And Aquarius and Leo are polar opposites on the
Yes.
chart.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, and that's really good to say, because one of the things I said is the balance is always required at an opposition,
Mhm.
that opposing forces. And with the full moons, the sun and the moon are always opposite. However, of all, maybe when the sun goes into Aries also, but when the sun goes into Leo, and we have the full moon here, like we are on this day, because the sun rules Leo, it's about self. And
Mm.
what is moon? Moon is public. I know it sounds like it's the personal side, but it's also the public, and it also in Aquarius means the humanity,
Mm.
the social consciousness of the world. So it's the balance that's required between your own personal wants and needs and fulfillment, like that gratification, that satisfaction,
Right.
with what you're doing or with what other people are. So that whole song by Pink, what about us? Not it's the what about me? Well, what about us?
Right. In
Right?
more of a communal sense.
So the balance me with them, it's not even balance me with you.
Right.
No, it's the sole person of me, Leo, sun in Leo, balancing the moon in Aquarius. And so that really just can hold some sort of, is there a responsibility that you could feel on this day that you do something in requirement? Do you give offer? Do you
Volunteer.
volunteer? Write a check to an organization that needs some assistance? Do you just pack up some of your clothes that you don't need, or some wares that you don't need, and take it over and give it to a Salvation Army or to a St. Vincent de Paul or
Right.
something, and just say, and send an intention with it. Like, I loved these things while I owned them. I give the love that I had with these to whoever next touches this.
Right. And I hope that they share that same confidence when they wear it.
Yeah.
Because that would be bringing in that Leo element. That's beautiful. I love that idea. So let's move to Saturday, July 24th. We're almost done with this week. This is a big one. So Mercury trine Neptune.
So let's talk about, remember, Mercury is the planet of communication, writing, speaking, thinking, mental activities of all sorts, and also the hands. It rules, the shoulders, the hands, and a trine to Neptune. So Neptune is the planet that wants to be creative. And it's tell your story now. Be bold with your ability to live in your magical, mystical world. That's totally Neptune. Like, what if once upon a time, she lived happily ever after, that kind of story. So be bold within that once upon a time and they lived happily ever after. What is the story that you're able to live within? And the Mercury is coming up before the sun, because this is what's called an Oriental Mercury, and it's about 1 day away from the combustion when you can't be heard. So today, the 24th, Saturday, is the day to make if you need to do a Facebook post or an Instagram thing or whatever those other things are, TikToks or clubhouses and yacht clubs or whatever those things are. Tell your story. Be bold.
Beautiful. So let's move on to our last and final transit of the week, Sunday, July 25th, Mercury opposing Pluto.
No cringing, please.
Okay.
But you can still feel that you did a great job. I mean, this is an opposition of the communicator and Pluto. Opposition. They have to balance here. So are you uncovering some secrets? Is there some depth or profound comments that you're making that you haven't really let out or exposed? Now is the time. It's I also call this sit on your hands so you don't push buttons. If anybody has the cheat sheet, this is what I wrote here. Sit on your hands so you don't push buttons, because it could feel like, like you may want to say something that's very derogatory and possibly
offensive.
It could be offensive. It could be throwing guilt at somebody or shame or blame at someone that you really. So this is what I mean about you can't sit on your face. You can't sit on your tongue. I say sit on your hands so that you're not pushing someone's buttons, but you're not pushing theirs and they are not pushing yours. So this goes both ways. So maybe this day is something about, hey, let's set up a time to have and remember, this is the whole week of having these realizations of, I don't really like something that's going on. I need to get to the bottom of it. Do I really ask this person this question? Wow. Do I have the kahunas to say this out loud, what I have been wondering or considering or doing my own research or investigative or
so this is a time to to really take a look at, is this worth it?
Right. And you know, you can have a conversation here with just asking maybe clarifying questions and not doing the accusatory, like,
or judgmental.
or yeah, like, are you lying to me right now? That's like then immediately defensive, because you wouldn't want anybody to say that to you. But if you can go in to say, I've been feeling this way and I don't know why. Is there something that you can help shed why I'm feeling this way?
Shed some light on.
I've been getting these red flags when you tell me where you're going, or where your paycheck is, or even with a child, like you tell me you're at your friend Mary's house, but when I call Mary, she said she hasn't seen you. Can you help me here?
Right.
Which Mary? Maybe you have a new Mary friend. Yeah. Okay.
So again, big week. We're excited about it. Let's move into Talisman times. So this is a first ever that we've done, because we have a story behind the 7-day intention challenge, and we're going to be sharing that in our house. So stay till the end of the episode to learn kind of the mishap that turned into a perfect tap.
Yeah.
And so what we did during the 7-day challenge, and one of the attendees, well, maybe I should rewind a little bit more.
Well, first of all, there are no talismans that I made last week.
Right.
And there are none coming up this week.
Right. And so this 7-day challenge, you were creating an intention and an affirmation for each day for all of the participants, for them to either use their talismans intention affirmation or to use the one of the day. And some of these, and all of them, but some of these were extremely powerful, and they resonated so well with the attendees that a few of them requested talismans to be made.
Yes.
On that same day, because they felt so drawn to that energy, to that frequency. So
I did.
Right,
I made a little 1-bead charm lobster claw attachment.
And they're adorable, and they'll go, and they're very unique too, because it's what we used to call hodgepodge, which means there's 6 different patterns all on one bead, which is it's similar to the intention bracelets.
Full bracelet, yeah.
And they're just really pretty. I love the colors that you chose. So we do have those on the website from this 7-day intention challenge. It kind of spurred into this really cool, creative space with all of these attendees. So I'll go through these real quick. So on day number 2 of our 7-day intention challenge, Mercury was ingressing Cancer, and the intention was to shift into new thought territory. The affirmation, I discover new ways to remember the past. One way is through my heart-to-heart conversations with those of my family and tribe. We all learn. And I remember on this day, there were people talking to their daughters, talking to their extended families. There was this really beautiful space and open, honest conversations going on.
Yeah. A lot of sibling conversation about 70, 60, 40 years ago, including myself, because I was just coming from my family.
And so day number 4, Venus was conjunct Mars in Leo. The intention was to be determined. The affirmation, I go after what I desire. My passion radiates through to my core where I am sustained. Miss Shy is no longer my driver. Mr. Focus is. And this one was great because I felt a lot of this like shift in power with people during that day, because everyone who read this was like, yes, that's my new driver. Yes. Because Mars is kind of meeting up with Venus and is kind of the instigator, that really energizing aspect.
Yeah. Well, Venus is the one that meets up with Mars and softens Mars and tells Mars, who, kind of like driving Miss Daisy. It's like, hey, this is the route I want to take. And, let me out right here, or keep going further because Venus is in charge in this placement.
Yeah, I love that. And day number 6 was Sun trine Neptune. The intention to test my next step. The affirmation, I apply my full weight when I trust the support, I feel safe, and know that I am protected. It's new territory for me, you know? And I love this story about how you added that, you know, back into that affirmation.
So strange. I mean, things like that happen to me. I don't talk about them often, but I did mention it on in our group session. Do you want me to say it now?
Yeah.
Just that I write these in the morning of our 7-day challenge each morning. And well, because I have to be in the energy of it. And I finish writing that and I get up and I'm going to go get a cup of coffee and I get the message, nope, you're not done. And I go, not done with what? Go back and sit down. So I sat down with my pen and I said, okay, what am I not done with? And the message was, you know. I'm like, what do I know? You know. I'm like, what is it that I'm supposed to know right now? Like, what am I supposed to write? And he goes, and this message goes, you know. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just supposed to write, you know? And when I wrote it, it finished the sentence.
Yeah, and I think it's very conversational, that affirmation, and it's talking in this way of just understanding.
It almost gives yourself
You know?
permission, like, hey, this is new territory for me, you know? Like, oh, I've never tasted this dish, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it brings a little liveliness to something that's new.
Yes.
You know, more exciting.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so these are the talismans that we have available right now. I will say this $30 special is an amazing price point. We don't know if this is going to be happening again, and we only have a very limited number of these talismans. So they do come with a card. They are beautiful little charms that you can attach really anywhere. I'll probably put mine on my keychain. And yeah, so check them out. They're on the website. Click that link and head over there.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the horizon. And I'm going to, of course, skip over the July astrology forecast. You all know if you haven't watched it yet, you are far, far behind because it's already we're in July 20th week. So let's also remind you that July 31st, the end of this month, we have our August astrology forecast. This is going to be Sandy and Susan going through all of the dates of what's happening throughout the month of August. These events are incredible. And I think when you're there live, you get so much more because if you have any questions, if you want to take those clarifying questions and throw them into the comment section, I'll always share them with Sandy and Susan so that you can get a little bit more if you're looking for that. And yeah, it's a great atmosphere. You know, throw a bunch of hearts on there. It's great.
And we agree and we disagree.
You and Susan.
Come and check that out.
So let's see. We also have our fall equinox constellation bracelet and workshop. Our seats are filling up. So if you are considering this is a deep dive into your astrological chart, as well as creating a talisman that is so catered to each and every one of these transits that turns into what we call a constellation. All of these events seem randomized at first, but they really come together into this big, meaningful bracelet.
And if you have any questions about it, because it is a commitment of the 6 weeks, email Alex at intentionbeads.com and we can talk directly to you and answer any of your questions.
Of course. So let's move into our house. I'm so excited to share this big hiccup that happened with me that actually turned into
such a blessing.
So again, we're talking about our 7-day challenge, and this really has been such a fun way to connect with the community that we are creating and nourishing here with intention beads, and we kept it very gated. You needed to have a specific type of talisman in order to sign up. It had to be registered. So there were definitely steps that everyone needed to
Limitations,
take.
restrictions.
In order
we had control on that.
And we did. And we would fill up those 7-day intention challenges very easily. And so this past one that we were doing in July was similar to all of the others, except when I was creating the email, and we have, a big email list. When I was creating this email, I was trying to exclude the people that had already signed up. I just had a list of their emails, and I just said, don't send it to these people, but send it to all of the people that currently have registered talismans. So what happened was when I was excluding those, it kind of cleared out all of those, limitations that I was creating prior, which I did not realize at the time. And the email sent out to everyone on our list. And it was the invite, because before I was just kind of creating these little teasers of, wouldn't it be awesome if you could join us in this 7-day challenge? But here it was the invite with the sign up link and everything. Nothing was gated. It was like the gates flew open.
So you don't know this. So I'm saying, I come to you and say, Alex, so this are signed up, and I know they don't have a personal talisman or universal talisman. And she goes, well, I don't know, Mom, that's wrong. I'm like, okay.
It can't be.
I can't be wrong. I'm the marketing girl. I went to school for this. I'm in a 10th house perfection with Mercury sitting there.
Right.
And I said, well, no worries. And she looks, and you find out what you had done, and thought, oh my God, I didn't know it defaulted back to my first, to
full
like
list.
Erased all of the controls systems that you had in place, erased all that and sent it to everybody. And you're like, oh, Mom, I am so sorry. I'm like, no. This will be fun. This will be good.
Yeah, because we started discussing it after that, and we said, okay, well, how can we bring in these people without those talismans and make them, feel welcomed and comfortable in knowing what they need to be doing?
Right.
What intentions do they need? How can we really facilitate this? Which this turned into like such a great thing that I think will be how we orchestrate our 7-day challenges from here on. And it's going to be a completely open invite, because the way that, people have been coming together during the 7-day challenge has been so inspiring. And the way that you are creating these intentions and affirmations for every single day, it really elevates the variety and this like ebb and flow with daily life. Because we could have a plan, I could have a plan that I'm going to be using my, my original talisman this day. But then once I see what you've written, and if that speaks to me, loud and clear, I'm going to use that one.
Which is what happened.
And it's so cool.
And I had to, when we're like, okay, what will the people that don't have a talisman say? And I don't want them to get hung up on trying to write something while in the half hour that we're on.
It's only a half hour.
And I call them up. I'm like, so I'll write something for them. That's how this started. So everybody feels calm. We thought about breakouts. I take the ones that don't have the talismans. You take the ones that do. And then it was like, well, we're going to be gone one day. And I said, let's not separate right now, because let's keep it all together at one. And I started writing these on the first day, and the people that had the universals and the personals are like, hey, I'm going to use this one. This is so in line with what occurred yesterday and what's going to occur later today. How did you know? I'm like, just reading the energy of the day. That's it. You're
Right.
following the energy of the day is what you're getting validation for.
And I even used what you wrote that morning and I posted it in Instagram with one of our posts. So
Did
if
you?
yeah, and that's how I utilized it. You just like swipe through the post and you can see, Sandy's suggested intention and affirmation of today's transit.
Woo woo.
Yeah. So, of course, head over to our Instagram. That's all lowercase intention beads, no spaces. And you'll be able to see those transits. Also, you're going to be able to see all of those talismans that Sandy's been creating of those 3 days of the 7-day challenge. And yeah, this is a very special price, special talisman that was just created. So,
and this is just another little thing about, Uranus does happen to be on my Venus and my midheaven, but so is Saturn squaring it. And so it's like, a change up, a change pitch is thrown at you. You got 2 strikes against you already. It's like, you got to swing, but you got to readjust your hands or your feet in order to swing at a different, like that Saturn says, I know my stance. I know how I can establish this and get that ball, make a home run. But it was a change up pitch. So it's like, it kind of reminds me of the energy that is going on in the world, that we have to be available for that next
Pivot.
Change, that
Right.
pivot. And we have been doing a lot of pivoting the last month or two. We all have. More so, I'm very stable in my career. I'm very stable in the things that I want, and it just feels like there has been like a disorientation we're having because of the eye surgery and then all the other stuff. And it's like I have to rearrange I've never rearranged my
Right.
calendar
Right.
ever.
No.
Ever.
Very
And-
Saturn Capricorn of you.
And I feel like with that Uranus hitting my midheaven, it's like doing the change up and then still swinging to make a home run.
Mm-hmm.
So plan that in your head. Do you want to read today's intention? Because we're recording this on Friday.
Sure.
I'll read it. It's right here.
Sure.
The sun opposing Pluto.
And it's our last day of the 7-day
We're about to
challenge.
get into that here in about 20 minutes since we recorded Friday, right before we're going into our last day. And then I'm heading to the airport to be my booth babe.
Babe.
This was sun is coming up to oppose Pluto, to be the power source. I often remind myself that I have my own power grid. I see not a cord attached to me for life support. Again, I remember. Oh, it actually makes me want to cry. It really does.
Right. We are this power grid that it's incredible where we can get our energy, where we can really feel that sense of
Ooh, it just
brightness.
got really hot too.
There we go.
Ooh.
Someone flipped on your switch.
Yeah, I think the words here did.
Right.
Anyway,
So
and stay tuned for our next 7-day intention challenge. I don't know. We'll probably have it October-ish. So subscribe to our email list.
Yep.
And get notified. And come on.
yes. So thank you everybody for listening in on this episode, and we will see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.
BBB, Booth Babe.
And the search ends here, where the